Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of This Week in the World of Football. This is episode number 362 for September 17th, 2024. I'm your host, Randy Snow. On this week's episode, Arena Football 1 has added a third expansion team. Tua Tagovailoa suffers another concussion, and we talk about the passing of a Detroit Lions Hall of Famer. But I'm not here all by myself. Across the table for me, as always, is my son, Adam.
Yes, I am here. What a week it's been for me. Good. What kind of health benefits does the world of football get? And don't say a swift katana to the leg, because Kyle was already denied that privilege.
I saw that. I watched that this morning after it got posted.
Yeah.
Now, best we can also offer you is some Tylenol and a Band-Aid.
Oh, gee, thanks. That'll do a world of wonders for what I got going on.
But how is your legs?
Legs are fine.
Some kind of rash or something?
Yeah, it was
fungal infection.
No, it wasn't fungal. It was cellulitis, which is not fungal. I think it's a viral infection. It cleared up, then it got aggravated between going back to work and we went to the Western game over the weekend, so it just kind of flared up. I'm wearing some compression socks right now, so I'm actually feeling okay. I can move around and stuff, and I feel comfortable. So it should be gone here soon.
Yeah, because I had to take you to the emergency room after our show last week.
Yeah,
and
what a whirlwind week.
That was a 2 hours we'll never get back. 1 hour in the waiting room and 1 hour back in the back.
And just when I thought like everything was normal, I was like, this is probably pretty normal for or unnormal for a ER visit, because I was like, there's no weirdos, it was quiet. Then all of a sudden, boy oh boy, did we get the circus. So that's
what you get when you're at the emergency room at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, no kidding.
Or no, we were there earlier than that. It was what?
It was like 11.
No, we got out at 11, so I think we got there about 9:30. Yeah, it was between 9:30 and 10, I think.
Yeah, it's fine. But yeah, thank you for taking me to that.
No problem.
Always appreciate it.
No problem. All right, we come to you each week from the fabulous World of Football Man Cave, located right here in the center of the football world, Kalamazoo, Michigan. We're here to promote the game of football in all its many forms, past, present, and future. Our goal is to educate, inform, and entertain our listeners with the glorious buffet that is the world of football. All this while keeping a close eye on the rich history of the game. Thanks for checking out our podcast. We'd love to get your feedback on one of our many platforms: Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music. So you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast. We also have timestamps down in the description of both the podcast and many of our YouTube videos, so you can go right to the topics you really want to listen to. You can also find our podcast in its full audio form on our YouTube channel. Just search for The World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at The World of Football in the YouTube search bar. You'll find over 400 videos on our YouTube channel, including things like last week's CFL Week 14 recap.
Yep.
And an episode of Just Lying Around, the Lions versus Bucks recap that you and Kyle just did last night, I think.
Yep.
And we also have some upcoming videos. Our Week 15 recap, which we'll be recording probably tomorrow. Another episode of Just Lying Around after the Cardinals game next Sunday. That's a late game on Sunday.
It's a 4 o'clock game. So
yeah, it's out in Arizona.
We'll see if we record that night. The only reason we didn't record after the game wasn't because they lost. It was because I just wanted to rest and didn't really want to go downstairs.
Because you worked all day that day.
I worked that day and then watched the game, and I was just like feeling tired. And I was like, I just don't want to go down and edit or do nothing. I just want to chill.
Yep.
So I pushed it back a day. It wasn't because they lost. I wasn't a sore loser.
Right.
So.
And then our weekly NFL picks for Week 3, we're going to be recording probably tomorrow night.
Tonight.
That's right, tonight.
After we're done recording this, we're going to, in real time.
That means I'm going to have to comb my hair then. But with Aaron, and we'll be recording that later on tonight. Okay. So let's begin our weekly tour around the world of football. And we're going to start off this week with Week 2 in the NFL.
That's right, everybody. Week 2 in the NFL. And boy, what a crazy week this was. A lot of upsets this week, or at least a lot of games. Like if you were use our picks as a basis for anything, it was a rough week.
That's why we tell people not to listen to us. I was the worst out of everybody. All of our guest pickers.
Don't spoil it. People still got to check out that video. But no, things got started off this week on Thursday Night Football as the Buffalo Bills went down to Miami and just thrashed the Dolphins 31-10. The story obviously coming out of this one is Tua Tagovailoa going down with another concussion. which sucks to see. You know, people talking about should he retire, should he not? That's not our place to. It's up to him.
Yeah.
You know, I just hope he's okay. It just came through the wire a little bit ago that the Dolphins have placed Tua on the
injured reserve.
Yeah, injured reserve. So he'll be on that for 4 weeks.
Right.
So it sucks to see. You know, the Dolphins were a promising team this year. They got a lot of weapons on offense. So we'll have to see what they do the next few weeks. Yeah. But a good moment though, Coach Mike McDaniels kissing Tua on the forehead when he came off the field.
I thought I saw him kiss him on the cheek or the forehead or something.
Yeah, it was a nice moment. I mean, it sucks for that kid. I mean, Tua had a lot of promise, a lot of hype around him, and you know, he said, "Well, this is his 4th concussion." Like, boy, it stinks. And I would rather him, you know, if he has to step off the football field, fine. But if he still feels like he can go out and play, also do what you got to do, dude. Wow. It's your life. I know it's worrisome, but that's not our call.
Well, I hate to say this, but the hit that he took did not look that bad. I mean, I've seen a lot worse hits on quarterbacks.
That's the scary thing about concussions.
Yeah, you know, his head really didn't hit the ground that hard. I mean, he kind of snapped his head over a little bit. So to me, you know, I've seen a lot worse. But, you know, when you had a couple of concussions, you're more susceptible to that sort of thing. And how ironic was it that Damar Hamlin is the one that delivered the hit, and you know, with everything that we went through last year,
2 years ago now.
2 years ago, okay. I just thought that was very, very ironic in that case.
Yeah, but yeah. So Bills take this one. I thought Josh Allen, and let's give the Bills some credit. They look great. They look like a team to be reckoned with. They still got some stuff to clean up, but man, they put on a performance. You know, James Cook, the running back, and Josh Allen, of course, still doing Josh Allen things. So give the Bills some credit there.
Yep.
All right, Sunday slate of games. The Raiders defeated the Ravens 26-23.
That was a huge surprise.
Big surprise there. Man, the Ravens blowing that one. Yeah, that was just a shocker to see. The Los Angeles Chargers stomped on the Carolina Panthers, which I think a lot of us thought would happen.
That's 2-0 for Jim Harbaugh now.
Jim Harbaugh starting off 2-0. Yep,
Wow.
a gritty 2-0. And for the Panthers, though, one thing we didn't see coming was them benching he's a second-year quarterback Bryce Young, first overall pick from last year's draft, now being benched in favor of Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
I was shocked to see this. It sucks for that kid. I mean, but nothing's helped him. They've not developed him. They've just kind of thrown him into the fire. The poor kid's just been, you know, hasn't had a lot to work. Yeah, he's got a couple of weapons, but I just feel like that organization has not done him any favors.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Well, I agree. A lot of times, you know, you get the number one pick, you know, or whether it's, you know, the number one overall pick or your first round pick, and that's a quarterback. Of course, the fans want to see him. You know, you're already saying he's the future of our team, and you want to throw him out there. But boy, oh boy, there's something to be said about sitting a kid for a while, letting him learn from a veteran quarterback, and not throwing him out there. You know, Matthew Stafford was in the same spot. He did terrible his first year, but you know, he kind of got better as time went along. But boy, oh boy, I don't know. I just I hate to see these young kids fresh out of college get thrown into the starting quarterback position, because sometimes it works, but more often than not, it does not.
I mean, Tom Brady. I saw a clip of Tom Brady. I don't know when he did this, but it's a quote he had, or a conversation he had, where he talked about how when he was a quarterback, you know, he spent 5 years in college. You know, he started from the 7th string, made his way up to the 3rd string, and then he got to the start. So it's all about literally developing, and that's how you get better as a quarterback. And then, you know, obviously he got in the NFL. He sat behind Drew Bledsoe and developed and learned, then played. But some of these guys, he says they've dumbed down offenses just so these kids coming out of college can come in and play right away. That's not good for development. They're learning, a handful of skill sets, just enough to get them out on the field to make them look like, hey, maybe we can win some games this way. But it's not true development unless they're like just utterly talented, like someone like C.J. Stroud coming out of college being absolutely awesome. You know, I'm sure there's a couple other examples the last couple of years, but I mean, it's tough. Even some of the greats like Matt Stafford, you know, coming out as the number one overall pick. Look at how long it took Baker Mayfield to kind of hit his stride. You know, Jared Goff, same kind of thing. It took him a bit. So I think there is, and then you have a quarterback like a Jordan Love who sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years before he got his shot. Maybe truly developing a guy, I think, is an art that has been lost in the NFL.
Yeah.
And teams are scared to do it because, we invested a first-round pick in a guy, so we got to throw him out there now. I mean, right now, look at the Falcons. I mean, maybe they're doing it right by sitting Michael Penix and having him back in that back pocket. So,
but I thought the whole idea was, they have a rookie salary cap now, so they're not paying $40 million like they gave to Matt Stafford when he was a rookie. Had never played a game. They gave him $40 million, and now they have a rookie salary cap, so it's not that big of a deal. You can afford to sit these guys for a couple of years. You don't have to throw them out there, but they're not doing it. They want that. They want the fans to come and see the new rookie star and all that.
Yeah, so there's that pressure there.
Yep.
But all right, moving on. Let's talk about our team real quick. The Detroit Lions fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 20-16. This was a game where the Lions outgained and outplayed the Bucks in so many aspects of this game and still lost. It was kind of like the opposite of what happened against the Rams, where the Lions kind of got outplayed and the Lions came out with a win.
Yeah.
But, credit where credit's due. That Buccaneers team came in and they just outgritted Detroit. That's simple as that. How else do you get outgained by almost double the yardage and win the game? The Lions just couldn't get out of their own way at a couple points. They just seemed like bad play calling, bad situational football. Your head coach took a lot of that blame, which you like to see. Is it worrisome for the Lions? I'm not hitting the panic button just yet, but
of course not.
But it does make you go, you guys got to learn from this. Otherwise, we may have problems. But I feel like they'll get over some of these issues. Like how do you let your kick team run out on the field while you're trying to spike them? How does that happen?
Yeah.
It was just a kind of a bad fluke, bunch of errors. Terrible. Just, I don't know what the Lions are overconfident, or maybe they were too laid back and like not worried about it. Cause like I sat there, I did the same thing I did with the Rams game. I just sat there and I was like, they got this.
Yeah. I felt the same way.
I wasn't hitting the panic button.
Nope.
I wasn't like, oh gosh, golly gee, our team's going to screw it up. We're the same old Lions again. I was like, nope, they got this. And they put themselves in a position to get it twice. And they just couldn't get out of their own way. Dumb play calling, and then, like I said, credit to the Bucs defense. They did what they had to do. Baker, not a great performance, but I mean, good enough to win the game. He had a nice run there at the end to kind of take the lead. Yeah. But Aiden Hutchinson, how about that? Let's talk about him real quick. 4.5 sacks on the day. What a performance that was!
He did.
Like,
great game.
Something I've never seen before. And 4.5 sacks in a game for one dude, like, that's tough to do. Unless you're playing a video game.
Kind of reminded me of the old days of Bubba Baker. Mm-hmm. He was a monster on the defensive end also for Detroit. But yeah, this game, I saw somebody post something that said, I'd rather see him do this in week 2 or have a game like this in week 2 than in week 15, 16, 17 of the season when you really need a win. Bingo. Let's get this out of the way. Let's learn from it, and let's do better.
And remember, they started off this way last year. They beat the Chiefs, and they had that home game against the Seahawks and lost in overtime to the Seahawks. A gritty loss there. These are the kind of losses, hey, get this out of the way early. They got a scary opponent up, the Cardinals, who look like they could be an up-and-coming team this year. So, hey, it's early in the season, not hitting the panic button just yet. And we're going to get to some other scores. Guess what? Some of these other teams that are playoff teams that we thought are going to be really good lost. Yeah. We'll get to them. So let's start here. How about the New Orleans Saints just throttling the Dallas Cowboys 44-19?
Loved it.
I mean,
loved seeing it.
I mean, I didn't see this coming from the the NFC South looks a little more formidable than I was going to give them credit for, especially, Panthers excluded. But yeah, so the Saints coming in there, Derek Carr just looking awesome. Yep. I love seeing the Cowboys get spanked. So
absolutely.
That's one of my favorite things.
Yep.
The Green Bay Packers without Jordan Love somehow got a win. Good for them. My takeaway from this game is, did you see the play where the center threw up on the football?
No, I did not.
Oh, my
I heard
gosh.
something. I heard Annie Agar mention it in her weekly thing, but I didn't know what she was
I had heard about it. I saw the clip. I was like, oh, yep, that center just threw up on the football before he snapped it, because then they had the
ball boy.
they interviewed Matt LaFleur during the game, and I guess Matt LaFleur was saying, he's like, yeah, after that play he didn't realize what happened, but he goes, Malik, I think Malik Willis was the quarterback for the Packers. He goes, Malik, why didn't you throw the ball on that play? That was a designed pass play. And Malik's like, well, because the center threw up on the ball, and I was about to throw that thing around or something like that. So I just
did not actually see.
Oh, you look it up.
I don't want to.
It's so quick. It's like the center just and then snaps the ball. It was real quick, and then he snapped it. And that poor Malik Willis is running around with that ball. Because it was like 3rd and 7, 3rd or 8 or something. It was clearly a passing down. And here's Malik Willis trying to just run with it. He's like, I ain't throwing this sticky, nasty ball.
Gosh.
But I guess LaFleur then said to the refs, or the refs were like, hey, next time that happens, do you want us to stop the play? And LaFleur's like, yes, please stop the play. Before it even starts.
Why wouldn't they just do that on their own?
I don't know, but I thought that was funny. Oh. All right, the Cleveland Browns got a win in Jacksonville, 18-13. I didn't expect the Browns to win this one, but they gritted out a win there, and the Jaguars let another one slip through their fingers. That's 2 in a row for them. The 49ers went up to Minnesota, and how about the Vikings giving the 49ers, who, yes, we're without Christian McCaffrey, and I think Deebo Samuels is going to be out for a bit, but man, I still thought the 49ers could handle the Vikings, but maybe the Vikings are a little better than we gave credit to them for. Sam Darnold's looking pretty good there as the starting quarterback. He's definitely had a chip on his shoulder playing his old team, so we'll have to see what the Vikings are made of. I know it's only 2 weeks. We're not going to overhype or try to get too far ahead of ourselves. Anything else so far?
No.
Okay, just feel free to jump
in. Keep going.
All right, the Seahawks defeated the Patriots 23-20 in overtime. The New York Jets got Aaron Rodgers his first win, 24-17 over the Tennessee Titans. Despite the New York Giants scoring 3 touchdowns, they lost to the Washington Commanders 21-18 on a last-second field goal. And how did Washington get their 21 points? Oh, just 7 field goals during the game. You're telling me a team didn't score a single touchdown, your opponent scored 3 touchdowns, and you still beat them.
Oh, wow.
That's something only the Giants could do. I guess their kicker got hurt early in the game, so they kept going for 2, and they never converted a 2-point conversion. So that's why they've scored 3 touchdowns, but no extra points. So you lose 3 points there.
Yes, that's 12 points, which is equivalent to 4 field goals.
Well, no, so they 6, 12, 18, so that's what they scored.
Oh, okay.
So they miss, no field goal, no extra points. So that's 3 points that would have made it 21 all.
Okay.
But even if you got a few of those, if you got 2 of the 3 2-point conversions, you would have still been up, 22-21. So man, so just some bad luck for the Giants there.
I guess.
In a game that they probably should have won, they let the Commanders take that one. The Arizona Cardinals absolutely beat up the Los Angeles Rams 41-10.
That was a huge surprise.
Yeah.
I expected the Rams to go in there and just have their way with them.
But the Cardinals, Kyler Murray to Marvin Harrison Jr. after last week where he had 1 catch for 4 yards and everybody was like, oh, he's not that great. He comes out this week. Oh, boy. He could be a force to be reckoned with. We'll see when they play Detroit and that defense there. But
that should be an interesting game next week.
But now we know what they're capable of.
Right. But don't take them lightly.
Yep. I mean, but honestly, if the Lions' offensive line just stands with their hands up, I think they can block Kyler Murray from throwing a pass. We'll see. The Pittsburgh Steelers defeated the Denver Broncos 13-6 in a very ugly game. I caught some of these highlights where just Bo Nix, Bover throwing the ball. I'm not a believer like Brendan Perna from the That's Good Sports YouTube channel I follow. He's a Broncos fan, so it was not a fun game for him to watch the Denver Broncos in this one, especially with their old quarterback Russell Wilson sitting on the sideline again, not playing in the game, but he's in full uniform. So, yeah. So sorry, Broncos, you look like you might be down there with the Panthers as some of the worst teams in football.
Yikes.
The Chiefs outlasted the Bengals 26-25 in a heck of a game there. And some crazy stat came out to where Patrick Mahomes has had 56 interceptions or something reversed because of penalties.
Really?
Something like that's out there. Yeah.
Wow.
The Chiefs have been bailed out by so many penalties that something crazy like that. I don't have the exact stat in front of me, so absolutely wild. I mean, I'm not saying the refs actually favor the Chiefs, but man, there's some data that's making you go, are we sure they're not? Are we sure the refs aren't in bed with the Chiefs?
I don't know. They after an interception, they might want to pan the camera up to Taylor Swift and see if she gets on her phone and makes a call down to the sideline.
Roger.
I'll call the referees and say,
Mr. Goodell,
I got 2 tickets to next week's Eras tour for your granddaughters.
Mr. Goodell, I'm having a terrible time at this game. Please make it change. Then on Sunday Night Football, the Houston Texans defeated the Chicago Bears 19-13, and some of the ugliest uniforms you'll ever see that the Chicago Bears wore. They wore the orange helmets.
I hate those.
I hate those too. And then in a thrilling Monday Night Football game, the Falcons won in the last seconds of that game, 22-21. The Eagles dropped a big third down play. Peyton Manning on the Manning cast just absolutely lost his mind that Saquon would drop that pass. But the Falcons, what a heck of a drive, Kirk Cousins helped put together there. Nice big pass down the middle, and that receiver, I forget the player's name at the top of my head, but he spun and threw former Lion Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, off of him and got into the end zone. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, that's his name. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who's now back with the Eagles. Just totally embarrassed him to go in for that game-winning touchdown for the Falcons. So, upset city this week in the NFL. So, all right, guys. As I make an adjustment here, we are now going to go from the NFL now up across the north border there, where there's a land that we love to call Canada. And in that land of Canada, they also play the football. And they play the football very well and very entertainingly. So, starting on Friday night in the Canadian Football League, we saw the Toronto Argonauts go into British Columbia and get the win 33-17. Anything from this game for you?
No, as an Argos fan, I was very happy to.
It was good to see you back in the win column.
Yep. It was a lot of fun to watch. Always rooting for the Argonauts.
Yep, and for BC, they had a couple of good games. They're strung together, and then to drop that one. So
bit of a surprise.
But I mean, oh boy, that West Division. We'll get to it. That West Division just looking ever more interesting. All right, Saturday saw the Hamilton Tiger Cats make things interesting as they beat the Ottawa Red Blacks 37-21. The Tiger Cats starting to get hot. Pulling up in the division standings there. Then Saturday saw the Calgary Stampeders tie with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers 19-19. That's the second tie this season in the CFL.
Yeah, I can't remember when the last time I've seen two ties in a season. I mean, we've been talking about them for 7 years on podcasts, and I've been following them for years. And
I can't even remember one tie, let alone two.
Yeah.
And we've got two this season. Absolutely just crazy football up there. Yeah. So that was it. Only 3 games this week, and then on bye, the Montreal Alouettes, Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Edmonton Elks. Don't forget, guys, we do our show, Canadian Football League weekly every week, so we're going to be more detailed and jump into a little bit of highlights, a little bit of, stats, and have a little more conversation on the games.
Right.
We're going to probably tweak the show a little bit. We were kind of talking about streamlining it a little bit, so this week's show might be slightly different, but not terribly different.
Yeah,
so.
One thing I didn't put on here was that Hamilton game. That was the Hall of Fame game up there, and they inducted, I think, 5 or 7 new players the night before on Friday night, and then they brought them out.
That's something we'll expand upon in CFL Weekly. All right, all good.
Yeah,
all right.
But this was known as Hall of Fame weekend up there. But the Hall of Fame game was the Hamilton game. It's always in Hamilton because that's where the Hall of Fame's at.
Which we've been to. It's not too bad.
Yep.
All right. Your CFL standings after 15 weeks in the East Division. Only one team's clinched the playoff spot, and that's the Montreal Alouettes at 10-2-1. The Ottawa Red Blacks sit at 8-4-1. The Toronto Argonauts at 7-6, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats at 4-9. In the West Division, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hold a thin lead in the West with a 7-6 record, followed by the 7-7 British Columbia Lions, the 5-7-1 Saskatchewan Roughriders, the 5-8 Edmonton Elks, and the 4-8-1 Calgary Stampeders. And I want to bring up real quick, there are a couple of playoff scenarios I want to bring up that the CFL posted about an hour ago. So with a win in Week 16, Ottawa could clinch a playoff spot. And then with a Montreal win and a Toronto loss, Montreal can clinch home field in the playoffs.
Wow.
So a couple of scenarios going into this week's game.
That West Division, like you said, man, you need a calculator to figure out how thin the lead is between the first and
the crazy thing. Also,
team.
looking at that is if things get worse for that West Division, the possibility of if Hamilton keeps going on a tear, and that third team, Saskatchewan right now is the third team with a 5-7-1 record.
Right.
If Hamilton
can win a few more games
and be the first East team ever to actually get a crossover playoff spot in the other division, that'd be something.
Yep,
because this has been absolutely crazy. And with the way this CFL season's been unfolding, and especially since this is the first year we're doing YouTube videos about the CFL on a consistent basis, I'm almost putting money on something crazy like that happening. So I'm all about that. So, all right, guys, we are going to stay in the Great White North, but we're going to throw it over to Randy because guess what? Not only does Canada have their own professional football league, they have collegiate football up there as well.
Yeah, just a couple of random scores from USPORTS, which is their version of the NCAA up there. It was the Bishops Gators over the Acadia Axemen 70-7 over the weekend. The Saskatchewan Huskies over the Calgary Dinos 44-40 in double overtime. And the Windsor Lancers shut out the York Lions 29-0. And then in Canadian Junior Football League action, the London Beef Eaters shut out the Greater Toronto Area Grizzlies 56-0. The Okanagan Sun over the Prince George Kodiaks 38-6. And it was the Saskatoon Hilltops over the Winnipeg Rifles 57-14. Now it's time to head off to the Far East, where our man in Japan, Greg St. James, has the week 3 scores from the X League. Take it away, Greg.
This is Greg St. James with the Gridiron Japan Studios, and I am here with week 3 scores for the X League. The first game was under the Friday night lights of the Tokyo Dome, where we had the Tokyo Gas Creators 12-7 over IBM Big Blue. Next up, we had the Nojima Rise 31-11 over Fujifilm Minerva. The Obik Seagulls 84-0 over the All Mitsubishi Lions. The Panasonic Impulse squeaked out a win 14-13 over the Seksui Challengers. We had the Elecom Finnies 28-6 over the Pleiades Suns. And then lastly, the defending X League Super Champions, the Fujitsu Frontiers 58-3 over the Oriental Bio Silver Star. If you want to learn more about the gridiron game here in Japan, check out gridironjapan.jp or just type in your search engine Gridiron Japan, and that'll point you towards all the platforms that we are on, both on YouTube and on podcasts, and also on social media, including X and Facebook. At X, we are at Gridiron Japan. And on Facebook, you can just type into your browser, type in facebook.com/gridironjapan.jp, and there we are. Well, with all that said, back to you, Randy and Adam, and go Lions.
Thank you, Greg. Man, it's nice to have somebody else covering some of these scores from overseas.
Hey, it's great to have somebody chime in, and I can go off to the bathroom, and I can actually take a break from the podcast for a minute or so. And don't worry, we're gonna get Greg his own theme music. I just was busy last week between, ER and just putting up our other videos, and I was like, I just want to chill. I need to put my feet up. Literally, my doctor told me to put my feet up, so I didn't do a whole lot this weekend.
Yeah, no, last year they have a pretty decent website, the X League does. And so last year I was able to go through and get all the scores myself. But, there's a lot that I don't understand. So it's nice to have Greg out there taking care of that for me.
We've made a lot of great friends throughout the world of football.
Yes.
Who all have so many different interests. It is nice to be like, hey, while we like a lot of this stuff, and I'm all about the X League. I think that's cool. I think that's neat that it exists.
I want to know more.
I would love to know more, but there are people out there who live and breathe it or just cover it differently, and so we would welcome that. Like, if you're into USports in Canada, shoot. If you're our friend and you want to talk USports, we'll give you a USports segment on here. Are you kidding me? The only thing we won't do is give our friend Tim Capper a 30-minute segment on the Montreal Alouettes. He kind of already does that on his own. We can't. Tim, we ain't got time.
Yeah. Oh, look at the time.
Look at the time, Tim. We got to go.
All right. Now we're going to head back to the United States, and we're going to cover some scores in college football. And this year we're kind of just concentrating on the top 10 teams to start out with. So this past week it was number 1 Georgia over Kentucky. 13-12. That's
we thought for a minute Kentucky might pull that one.
Yeah. Number 2 Texas over the University of Texas San Antonio, 56-7. Number 3 Ohio State was on a bye. Number 4 Alabama over Wisconsin, 42-10. Number 5 Ole Miss over Wake Forest, 40-6. Number 6 Missouri over number 24 Boston College, 27-21. Number 7 Tennessee shut out Kent State 71-0.
Jeez.
Wow. Number 8 Penn State was on a bye. Number 9 Oregon over Oregon State 49-14. And number 10 Miami of Florida shut out Ball State 62-0. That Kent State and Ball State, those are both MAC teams, so they both got shut out by 62 points or more. Ouch. Let's see. Upsets, shutouts, blowouts, and more. Number 14, Kansas State, upset number 20. That was really not an upset, is it? If number 14 beat number 20.
I would not call that an upset.
I had that written down. Anyway, number 14, Kansas State beat number 20, Arizona, 31-7. Number 18, Notre Dame over Purdue, 66-7, getting a moniker of revenge over getting beaten by
they took that out on Purdue real bad.
Yeah, I would not have wanted to have been the team that played Notre Dame this week after that upset last week.
But can we talk real quick? And I'm going to pull them up here. Can we talk about the team that beat them last week? Because they're ranked now.
Are they? Okay, I didn't see that.
At least, yeah. Let me just find the Mid-American Conference scores here.
Northern Illinois?
Northern Illinois, they last I saw, they were ranked number 25 in the country.
Well, good for them.
Let me see. Did they play this week? Maybe they didn't play this week. I'm like just looking up their scores.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing a score for them.
They might have had the week off, but I do think they are ranked now.
Okay. Well, I'll let you look while I read some more of these scores here.
All good, yeah.
We got,
websites are hard to navigate live. Nope. Right here it says they're number 23 on ESPN, getting ready to go into the weekend. So.
Wow.
So Northern Illinois, that might be a team we have to just keep on our radar as long as they're ranked. So
yeah, even though I don't really like Northern Illinois because they've always beaten Western Michigan every time. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it's good for them.
Whenever a MAC school does well and gets ranked, we got to recognize.
Sure, yeah. Let's see. Texas Tech over North Texas, 66-21. It was Georgia Tech over FCS VMI, the Virginia Military Institute, 59-7. Western Michigan beat up on FCS team Bethune-Cookman, 59-31. We were there for that game.
That game should have been not as close, but let's give Bethune-Cookman some credit. They had a kick returner. I don't even know his name. He wore number 5 for Bethune-Cookman. Hey, dude, if you're listening, you're a heck of an athlete because he returned not 1, but 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns in that game. That definitely made the score look a little closer than it actually kind of was because Western did kind of dominate that game. But
yeah, I posted some highlights that I saw today. I didn't see them until today, but the very first play from scrimmage for Western Michigan was a long bomb for a touchdown. The guy was wide open. The defenders didn't cover him very well. And there were a few other things that I posted. But, yeah, it was fun being there. It was nice and warm. It was almost too hot.
It was too hot.
And we were there.
Almost about it. We got there an hour before kickoff. Well over an hour.
Almost an hour and a half, yeah.
Hour and a half before kickoff. We were sweating. You, me, my girlfriend, and her dad went, and boy, oh boy, it was hot. Her dad went through 3 Gatorades that whole day. It was hot.
Yeah.
It was crowded because it was obviously the first home game of the season. But, I still had a good time at the end of the night. They had a nice fireworks show, a nice halftime show.
Oh, yeah, that was
at
cool.
the half. So, Western, I don't know. We'll see how they do the rest of the season, but always fun going to Waldo Stadium and checking out the Broncos.
If anybody sees some of the pictures that we have posted, I posted a picture of you and me, and you posted a picture of you and your girlfriend there. It looks like the stadium was totally empty, and that's because it was an hour before. Barely the gates were open, and we were already in our seats.
Yeah.
So it did look like it was empty, but boy, oh boy, did that place fill up very nicely.
It did.
And yeah, we were packed in there like sardines for a while until people started leaving, but. Oh my gosh! What a great night!
Yep.
I love it when it's really, really warm weather for a game.
And speaking of going to a game, shout out to our family members who went out to the Rose Bowl this past weekend. My cousin, your great nephew, Nathan is part of the coaching staff, or he's like one of the assistants on the Indiana Hoosiers football team staff, and him, his mom, dad, brother all went out to Pasadena, California for that Indiana UCLA game where Indiana beat up on UCLA 42-13.
Wow.
So they got to go see a game in the Rose Bowl. I believe Nathan even got on TV on the sideline there looking cool as ever. So I wanted to give them a shout out because I had no idea they were going to this until before they left. So pretty cool, to see the Rose Bowl. I've never been to the Rose Bowl before, so
I've driven past it.
You've never even been?
No, I've never been in there. Some buddies of mine were on a deployment out in California, and we had a day off, and we drove into Los Angeles, and we went right by the Rose Bowl, and they had some flea market going on in the parking lot. And that's as close as I snapped a picture, just the Rose Bowl sign, and we just kept on driving. So that's as close as I've been to the Rose Bowl. But yeah, I'd love to go there.
But hey, I just wanted to give them a shout out because that's one of those bucket list things. Of course you got to go do the Rose Bowl at some point.
Sure, absolutely.
And when it's your team, they're Indiana fans. They're from down in Indiana.
Yep.
They love that school. I won't say both boys, but Nathan's been down there at IU for a while. They've always done stuff around the IU program,
Right.
one thing or another.
Attended soccer camp in the
soccer
summer.
camps and stuff. So
IU
they are
team.
very familiar with that university. So kudos to them. Glad they had fun and glad they got that win over a brand new Big Ten team, UCLA.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's finish up our scores here. South Alabama over FCS Northwestern State, 87-10. It was Eastern Michigan over Jacksonville State, 37-32 in double overtime. Colorado over Colorado State, 29-20. So Coach
29-9.
I'm sorry, 29-9.
And what do you think about Shador Sanders talking crap with the other quarter? I guess the other quarterback said some stuff before the game.
I didn't pay any attention to it.
I don't know. Like, the Colorado State quarterback was talking some smack about Shador, and I get it. If somebody's talking crap about you, clap back. That's fine. But man, watching that clip at the end of the game where he didn't even shake his hand. He just said something along the lines of, like, that's what you get, or like, oh, look what we did. Like, we did what we had to do. This type of thing. So I don't know. Shador Sanders just continues to make me go, I don't think I would want my NFL team associated with this kid at all.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's going to the Cowboys, and Coach Prime was going to be their coach.
You know what? They can ruin the Cowboys all they want.
I hope so. I hope they do. Let's see. Minnesota shut out Nevada 27-0. Michigan State shut out FCS Prairie View 40-0, and Fresno State shut out New Mexico State 48-0. In the military academies, Army and Navy were both on a bye this week, and Baylor defeated Air Force 31-3. Let's move on to get some scores in from the different lower levels. FCS division, it was Grambling over Texas A&M Commerce 35-28 in overtime. Robert Morris over Mercyhurst 55-28, and it was Northern Arizona over Utah Tech 45-17. In another FCS game, the Portland State Vikings game versus the South Dakota Coyotes was canceled due to several Vikings players who came down with whooping cough. And this happened just a few days before the game, and the doctors got together and said, we think this, they weren't that sick, but it's a very contagious disease.
Better safe than sorry.
And so they decided to cancel the game.
If we've learned anything as a country, how about, better safe than sorry?
Yeah, when you're sick, stay home.
Yeah. Put on a mask, not to bring up that whole debate.
Yeah,
but,
I'd hate to have to go back to that, but it's there. I think everybody's got some masks left over.
Oh, I'm sure they do.
Days, so it's very contagious. It affects your lungs. So I'm glad they did. Yeah. And they're not. When the first article I read said they weren't sure if they were going to try and reschedule this game or not. But I also saw another one that talked about click here to get a refund if you had tickets to that game. So something tells me they're not going to replay it. But I'm glad they saw the severity of the situation and just decided, okay, let's just cancel this game.
Health is greater than football, everybody.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. In Division 2, it was South Dakota School of Mines over Upper Iowa, 17-10. Lake Erie over Post, 28-17, and Bemidji State shut out Southern Minnesota State. I want to say Mississippi or Missouri.
You were trying to say Missouri.
I know, yeah. Bemidji State shut out Southern Minnesota State, 33-0. Woo! I'm not going to mention those again next week. All right, Division 3, Cortland over Lycoming, 70-7. The Coast Guard Academy over Anna Maria, 52-45 in overtime. Beating up on a girl, I don't know. Merchant Marine over Gallaudet, 55-7. Now we're going to move on to the NAIA scores. St. Francis of Indiana over Defiance College of Ohio, 64-36. It was Valparaiso over Indiana Wesleyan, 20-17, and Texas Wesleyan shut out North American, 80-0. And finally, in junior college action, Snow College, our favorite junior college of all time, in Ephraim, Utah, increased their record to 4-0 this year with a 43-40 win over Lackawanna College. Go Badgers! That's what the Snow College mascot is. Army Prep over Nassau, 14-3, and Lewisburg over Hocking, 44-22. And that's it for our NCAA scores, NAIA scores, junior college scores. Yeah, that should be everybody.
Yeah, that's a big, long thing you read.
Yeah, I know. I might cut that down a little bit next week. Maybe just have 2 scores instead of 3 scores for each subdivision. But I think it's important to at least acknowledge some of their games. All right, so we've got more happenings in the world of football, and so we're going to move to arena football right now. The Arena Football 1, the new name for the league, is got a new team. This is their 3rd expansion team of this year, and it's going to be the Monterrey Kings in Mexico. So they added the Stockton Crusaders last week, and they also added a team in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and they're going to have a Name the Team contest there. And now they've got the Monterrey Kings in Monterrey, Mexico. So
yeah, very fascinating stuff.
There's more to come, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
I don't know how many, but I think at least more to make at least 12 teams.
We'll see. And, I mean, a lot of stuff is trending in the right direction. There's still some stuff that I'm a little worried about, but we'll see if they can not repeat the same mistakes of the previous Arena Football League.
Yep.
But, this new league, they've got a vision, and they're trying to stick with it. If you were looking for more on some of this Arena Football 1 stuff, we haven't done anything on the Arena Football 1 yet. We haven't even talked about doing any Arena Football 1 videos yet. We're kind of waiting for the dust to settle.
Right.
And we'll probably jump in on something. I mean, we got connections now. I mean, you're best buddies with Steven Titus, the owner of the Billings Outlaws. But he did an interview with Anthony Carter over at Arena Insider. That was a great interview.
I finally watched that today, and I posted it on our timeline. So, yes, go check that out.
A lot of good information.
He answers a lot of questions that people have about why go with Arena Football 1.
He's very transparent about that. That's what I like about Steven Titus. So, Steven, if you're listening, thank you for being so transparent. And then our buddy over at Off the Wall, Trey, had a great interview with the new Wilkes-Barre. I keep wanting to say Wilkes-Barre Scranton, but the Wilkes-Barre owner.
Yep.
Very fascinating dude. He's more of in the world of boxing. And he wanted to jump into the arena football, and apparently the brawl at the mall is what kind of got him interested and wanting to have a team in Wilkes-Barre.
I guess he was there, and
so that's
got the fever.
What a great story that was. So go over to Off the Wall, check them Trey out. He does some great stuff over there. Great interview.
I'll have to repost that. I did listen to it. I listened to it on my phone when I was doing my morning walk. It's like a 30-minute interview, and so that's about what I was.
Really good.
And I liked it. I should get in there and repost that.
I mean, I hope they kind of go with the Pioneers just to kind of hark back to the.
Yeah, but he had a couple of other names that I thought were pretty good.
What do you think?
Maybe the Wild.
I do like that, but that's a hockey team. I want something a little different. I like something that's a little off the wall. The Wildebeest was interesting.
Yeah.
That Trey threw out there. I was like, that'd be interesting. I do like that WBWB thing. Yeah. I would hate a Wilkes-Barre Scranton football team, like the Washington football team. I'm not a fan of that.
No.
But I mean, there's got to be a better name, like the Wilkes-Barre. Something to do with The Office. What if they call them like the Wilkes-Barre Stranglers? Like they made that joke about The Office.
Yeah, I don't watch The Office, so I don't know what that's referencing.
I knew that would go over your head since you can't appreciate one of the greatest sitcoms of all time.
It was awful. I could not stand it.
Whatever, you're wrong. It's so hard. But something unique like that. I would love a unique, fun name like that for a Wilkes-Barre team. I'd even be okay with them going back to Pioneers, like I said, but. We'll see what they got. They're going to have a Name the Fan contest, have the fans name the team contest.
Right.
So that's pretty cool.
Well, when I went to the Arena Bowl, I passed right by Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, off I-80 going through Pennsylvania. That's a doable trip.
I mean, I'd go. I'd be down to go. I mean, shoot, I'm down for any sort of trip as long as we plan it out. And,
give you enough notice.
Give me enough notice.
Time off your job and all that. Yeah, okay.
I got to run it by the girlfriend now. So
yep.
It's not all about football anymore, Randy.
Darn it. All right, United Football League. They had a press release today. The UFL 2025 season will begin on Friday, March 28th with the same 8 teams they had last year. That would be the Birmingham Stallions, Houston Roughnecks, Memphis Showboats, Michigan Panthers, Arlington Renegades, DC Defenders, San Antonio Brahmas, and St. Louis Battlehawks. I thought maybe they might add a team or two, but I guess not. But they're going to have a 10-week season again, like they did last year, and the championship game is going to be on Saturday, June 14th.
Ooh, no location announced yet?
No, like last year they had it in St. Louis. Before that, I mean, when it was the USFL was playing it in
Canton.
Canton, and I thought maybe they would continue that little tradition there, but
maybe they're waiting to see who'll have the best attendance. I would love to see it come to Ford Field. That would be a great.
Yeah, we would have to go to that if it's at Ford Field.
Have to.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's a couple teams like I would love to see the Brahmas come to play. I'd love to see the Defenders come and play.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even almost want to go to DC to see a game. But I mean, there's a handful of these teams we haven't seen yet in person. Like if they come to Detroit, we might have to go to another UFL game.
You just want to
see the next Jake Bates in person.
You just want to add to the beer snake in DC. That's all you want.
That would be something I would want to do.
All right, let's move on to birthdays and anniversaries today. For September 17th, quarterback and kicker George Blanda, born on this date in 1927, passed away in 2010 at the age of 83. He played his college football in Kentucky. He was selected in the 12th round of the 1949 NFL Draft by the Chicago Bears. And he played 24 seasons in the NFL. Did you hear what I said there? 24 seasons in the NFL as a quarterback and a kicker. Mostly a kicker towards the end, but still a quarterback in the NFL and the AFL. He was with the Bears from 1949 to 1958. He did not play in 59. He actually retired. He did not play in 51. He retired in 59, and then he came out of retirement to play with the new AFL in 1960, and he signed with the Houston Oilers and played with them from 1960 to 1966. I think he led them to the first two AFL championships in 1961. Then he went on to play for the Oakland Raiders from 67 to 75. He retired as a player after the 1975 season at the age of 48. So you talk about your Tom Brady's. This was the original GOAT back then for the longevity in the NFL. He won 3 AFL titles, like I said, Houston 60 and 61, and another with Oakland in 67. And then that was the second year that they had the Super Bowl going on. So they actually played in Super Bowl II, but lost to the Packers that year. And he was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1981. So a heck of a career for Mr. Blanda. Another birthday today, wide receiver Anthony Carter turns 64 years old today. He played his college football at Michigan, selected in the 12th round of the 1983 NFL Draft by the Miami Dolphins, but he chose to sign with the USFL Michigan Panthers and played there for 2 seasons in 1983 and 1984. Won the USFL title in 83. I saw him play both years with that team. Loved the old Michigan Panthers. And then they folded after 83, and actually they merged with the Oakland Invaders. So he played for the Invaders in 1985. I think they went to another USFL championship that year but lost. And then he played for the Minnesota Vikings from 85 to 93 and the Detroit Lions in 94 and 95. Finally, for birthdays anyway, well, yes and no. Quarterback Patrick Mahomes turns 29 years old today. Played his college football at Texas Tech. 10th overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft by the Chiefs. Been there the whole time. He's won 3 Super Bowls, and his story is yet to be completed with that team. How many more Super Bowls he can win, I don't know, but that is one heck of a guy.
Yeah.
And then a happy birthday to the NFL. On this date in 1920, September 17th, a meeting was held in Ralph Hayes Hupmobile dealership in Canton, Ohio, that formed what is known today as the NFL. At the time, it was known as the All-America Football Conference. And the 10 teams attended that particular meeting. They added a few more after that, but the 10 teams were at that particular meeting, and Ralph Hay happened to be the owner of the Canton Bulldogs at the time. So happy birthday to the NFL today.
Yeah.
All right, and we do have one obituary, and this kind of hits home. Joe Schmidt. This is where we take a moment and honor those who made the world of football a better place, and this guy really did make the world of football a better place. Joe Schmidt, a middle linebacker in the NFL for 13 seasons, has passed away at the age of 92. Schmidt played college football at the University of Pittsburgh and was selected in the 7th round of the 1953 NFL Draft by the Detroit Lions. He played his entire 13-year career in Detroit from 1953 to 1965, winning 2 NFL titles in I said 1951. I think it's 53. 1953 and 1957. He was the linebackers coach for one season in 1966 after he retired as a player. And then he became the head coach of the team and was there for 6 seasons from 1967 to 1974, posting a record of 43, 34, and 7. Schmidt was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1973 and the College Football Hall of Fame in 2000. I think I told a story last week where his number is retired, 56 for Detroit, and he's on the Wall of Honor, or the what do you call it, the Pride of the Lions.
Pride of the Lions, yeah.
Yep. So I forget what year it was, but they traded away their first round draft pick for Pat Swilling, who was a great defensive end out of New Orleans, and he wanted to wear number 56 because that had been his number in New Orleans, and they got a hold of Joe Schmidt, and they said, can we unretire your number and give it to him? And he said, sure. And so he was there at a press conference to hand off the number 56 jersey to him. And I thought, man, this is great. Swilling's a great player. We've had such terrible luck signing first-round draft picks. We didn't know what we were doing in those days. So I think it was 93. But anyway.
1993 is
yeah.
When,
yeah. And so I thought, this is great. We're getting a known player, and not, picking the wrong draft pick. So, Swilling was only in Detroit for 2 years. He did okay the first year. He stunk it up the second year, and he was gone to Oakland the year after that. So, it didn't work out, but they did unretire his number for 2 seasons for Pat Swilling, and then they put it back in retirement again. Yeah. But, Joe Schmidt, anybody that's a Lions fan will recognize that name as one of the great middle linebackers in the early days of the NFL.
And when I think the Lions flew down a crew to record him talking about the new Lions uniforms.
Yes.
So that was cool that he kind of lent his voice to that. So that was pretty cool hearing that, because I didn't realize that was him, I guess.
I didn't either
until he passed and they brought that up, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was. So condolences to the family of Joe Schmidt.
Yep.
All right. Lastly, our upcoming events calendar today. This Sunday, September 22nd, the European League of Football Championship game, the Vienna Vikings versus the Rhine Fire. Who you got in this game?
Oh boy, you know what? The Vikings are undefeated, and the Rhine Fire are the defending champions. This is going to be a slugfest, but you know what?
So.
I think the Rhine Fire make it back to back. I know they've lost one game this year. I think they're going to ruin Vienna's perfect season and keep the championship. I think they're going to back to back it. Does that mean you're going opposite? You always like to do the opposite of what I think.
Well, I'm thinking because they're undefeated, Vienna is on a mission, but it's going to be a heck of a game.
I just hope, I just want a great game. I can't wait to see.
Good game between.
I don't know if I'll be able to watch this live, so I'm looking forward to seeing highlights and talking about this next week.
Yeah. All right. Sunday, October 6th, the New York Jets versus the Minnesota Vikings in London. That's a 9:30 game 9:30 a.m. game on NFL Network. Sunday, October 13th, the Jaguars and the Bears in London, same time, same network. October 20th, Patriots versus the Jaguars in London again, same time, same network. October 26th, the CFL regular season ends, and we're going to start the playoffs. We'll see if we get a crossover team from the east to the west.
I just want chaos now. Like my college football, I want that chaos.
Yeah, well, you're getting it here with a lot of these games. Let's see. Sunday, November 10th, the Giants versus the Panthers in Munich, Germany. Again, 9:30 a.m. on NFL Network. And finally, on our upcoming events calendar, Sunday, November 17th, the 111th CFL Grey Cup game in Vancouver. We're going to be there for that, too.
Yes, very excited.
We're everywhere.
Man, very excited.
Got a lot of frequent flyer miles going on this year.
I mean, that'll be the first time we've flown for a game.
True, yes.
I was hoping to be in Arizona this weekend for that Lions game.
Yeah, I know you wanted to do that.
I wanted to so bad.
It just didn't work out.
It just didn't work out.
But, maybe another year we'll head out to Arizona.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind going to see a game in either the Jets or Giants in New Jersey.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, the place I stayed for the Arena Bowl was like right by the stadium.
Yeah.
Not too far. So at least I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Easy to get to. All right. Anything else before we close this show out today?
Nope, I think we're good, sir.
All right. Well, that's all the time we've got for this week. If you learned something during this podcast about the incredible amount of diversity that exists in the world of football, then we have done our job. Visit our website at theworldoffootball.com for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. Our email address is info@theworldoffootball.com.
You can follow The World of Football on Facebook, X, and Instagram, where the address for all three of those is TWOF Kalamazoo. New episodes of this podcast are posted on Tuesdays, despite going to the ER, and are available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music, so you can simply ask your Alexa device to play the World of Football podcast to hear us on whatever Alexa devices you may have. You can also find the full audio version of this show on our YouTube page. Just enter the World of Football Kalamazoo or use the handle at the World of Football in the YouTube search bar. So please spread the word, subscribe, rate, review, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and please go buy some merch. We got new merch. I put up some new shirts and stuff. Come be a part of the football conversation and do so while wearing a new World of Football hoodie.
Ooh,
get yourself a hat. Get yourself a T-shirt. More to come, maybe. We'll see.
Well, I'm really glad that you waited until after you got last week's show posted.
Oh, yeah.
On SoundCloud, and then called me up and said, "Can you take me to the emergency room?"
Well, we were recording our picks video, I think.
Oh, that's right. We did two things that night.
And I was sweating up a storm. I was just not feeling great. I was just trying to power through that. And as soon as we got done and hung up, I went upstairs and I looked at my girlfriend and I just said, "I think I got to go to the ER." And I knew she couldn't take me for reasons, which was fine. So I called you up and you came, got me,
Right
took
over.
me to the ER.
Yep.
Yeah, what a nightmare. Hopefully not again. So
I hope not. Yeah. All right. And remember, folks, some people may love football more than we do, but nobody, and I mean nobody, loves more football than the two of us guys sitting here in Kalamazoo talking about football.
you want to prove us wrong? Buy a shirt.
Yeah. Until next time, when we'll try and do a better job. Yeah, right. I'm Randy Snow.
And I think you guys should buy a new World of Football hoodie or a hat.
Ever the salesman. We'll see you all next week.
Call me Willie Loman,
Who?
but better.
Who?
Death of a Salesman? You illiterate swine.
Who's Willie Loman?
Are you serious?
I don't know.
Death of a Salesman, it's a play.
Oh, that. Oh, well.
You're illiterate, aren't you?
I haven't seen that movie yet.
Oh, my God.